Hello, David. Are you here?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right. I stop my sharing and you can start whenever you're ready.
Let me find a good slide then. Okay. And I'm ready.
Nice. We can see your presentation.
Fantastic.
You can start wherever you want.
I can start now? Okay, perfect.
Yes,
hello, everyone.
Except if you want to wait for something, but I think that when you're ready, you can start.
Oh, okay. Well, whenever you're ready, I'm ready then.
Okay, you can start, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm David from Global Azure Greece 2021. I'm very happy to be here. And today we are going to talk about Azure AD Pod Identity so that we can secure more the application in Kubernetes environment. A few words about me first. So I'm David, as I mentioned. I'm an MVP since 2019. I embrace automation all the time, but more HashiCorp than other. And I'm still struggling with Kubernetes, and that's also why I'm talking to you about Pod Identity, because I had to make it work. And I found it was interesting to share my experience with you. I'm also a big fan of Final Fantasy, so that's why I choose an avatar which is a black mage, just so you know. Okay, let's get started now. So we have an agenda which will be in 4 steps mainly. First, an introduction to remind us what we want to achieve, and then talking about the solution, which is Pod Identity. We'll go into the detail on that, and then some configuration on our AKS cluster, because it is about AKS, and then a demonstration for which we will use another moving part, which is called the container storage interface for secret store, so that we can have a pod reaching a key vault without having to use a password in a config map, because we don't like that. Okay, let's get back to the basic with the introduction. So to make this thing work, we need to have a thorough understanding on how Azure Kubernetes Service is related with Azure Active Directory, and we need to dive a little in the, well, not a little, as a matter of fact, in the how it's working in terms of all the identity and the association between Airbrak and AKS, and some prerequisite in terms of configuration, which can differ if you take some option at the build of your Kubernetes or some other, because there are some, we will discuss a little about that. Okay, back to basics. We place the need because we have a situation usually when we have an application that we put in a front layer that needs to access some data that I try to represent with the data layer in a very simplified way. And what we have usually is that the front layer, to access the data layer, will need a connection string and some authentication through a mean of service account. And since we have a service account, there will be probably some secret rotation, which is, let's say, it's a pain. Okay. thankfully, the cloud and Azure help us to make things evolve, and we have the managed identity that you can discover if you don't know already about that in the documentation on Azure, and you can use that to have Azure resource being granted an identity in Azure AD, so that we can reach other services in Azure with that identity without managing any credential, which is a huge benefit for developer and the security guy, which are looking at what the developer are coding. Okay. If we have a little schematic, because I like schema, you have in the center of it, you have the managed identity, which is the object on which we are interested in, which obviously live in Azure AD, because all the identity are managed by Azure AD in Azure, or should be, as a matter of fact. And this managed identity is also associated, bound to an Azure resource in yellow on the square in the bottom of my slide. Okay, this Azure identity, this managed identity, is also granted an RBAC assignment, which, by the means of the RBAC design, will allow us to have access, for example, let's say to a key vault or something else. Okay, so we grant an RBAC assignment to a managed identity, which is attached to a resource, and then the resource, the Azure resource, by the means of the code which is used on it, can authenticate to Azure ID without any password, because the platform is managing this association, which is very nice. Okay, just as a reminder, we have two flavors of managed identity. We have the system assigned identity and the user assigned identity. As the name implies, the system assigned identity is managed automatically by the system, and that's why you can see on the screen that we only need to activate it. We are with a status of on, for example, on this slide, and then the resource, which is in this case a virtual machine, will get an identity with the same name as the virtual machine that we can find if we look on it, if you look at that in Azure ID. Okay. The other flavor is the user assigned identity, which we create beforehand and then associate to any resource that we want, really. And then each resource associated to this user assigned identity will be granted access to the resources that are accessible through this user assigned identity by the means of the RBAC assignment. That is to say, if the code used on the Azure service is able to take advantage of the user assigned identity. So there are other things for that, but this is another topic. Okay. So why should you use one before the other? Well, it depends. The first one is simple to manage. You just activate it and it's okay. But you are stuck with only one. So if you want to have different program running on your environment, you might be stuck, because once you've granted an RBAC assignment to your system assigned identity, if the RBAC assignment is not enough, then you need to grant more. But if it's too much for another application, then you have granted too much. So this is not always ideal. So we have more granularity by assigning different user assigned identity to the same resource, and then using in the code the different user assigned identity that we have. Okay. Okay. Then we focus on the container, because we are talking about Kubernetes today. As a reminder, the container, well, they kind of give us a trouble on that, because the main one of the main property of a container is to isolate the runtime from the operating system, and this also from the cloud layer. And then when we have a container running on an OS, on a virtual machine, it does not see, or it's not seen by the cloud provider. So the association with managed identity does not work that much. For now, at least. We have some exception. If you take your Azure container instance, this is a container managed by Azure, and you can associate it, some managed identity, with some limitation, one being that you cannot live in the virtual network, but again, that's another story. Okay, if we focus on that, containers are causing us trouble, and that's the case in Kubernetes, because we cannot associate directly an identity from Azure ID to a pod, to a container in a pod. And that's where we come with a solution. We have something called pod identity for Azure Kubernetes Service, which is the way to associate identity instead of writing password in config map or secret, because this is bad. So at first, this is an open source project, which, as all open source projects, lives on a GitHub page, obviously. So we have the repository of code in the GitHub repository that I sharing as the first link, and we have also a GitHub page for the documentation, which explains the concept of how to make it work, which is quite complete, but not that clear if you are not familiar with all of it. To summarize, in terms of how it's working, or before I'm telling you how it's working, it is an open source project, but it is also in preview Azure Kubernetes Service add-on, which means that at one point we should be able to only activate this add-on, and everything will be installed and updated by Microsoft behind the scene for us. For now, it's still an open source project and still in preview, so it's still time to play with it at least and understand how it works. There will be obviously some other limitation once it's available as an add-on. So let's focus on how it's working for now. So the way it's working is, as many things in Kubernetes, we extend the API of Kubernetes with a custom resource definition. 3, to be clear, the 3 that are written below: an Azure identity, an Azure identity binding, and an Azure assigned identity. So the Azure identity will be the correspondence between the managed identity that we talked about and in the Kubernetes control plane. The Azure identity binding will bind that identity to the pod that we want to use, and the user assigned identity will be the resulting object once the pod is successfully associated with an identity. We'll try to display that on a schema afterward. Then we have some more classical objects in terms of Kubernetes. We have a deployment and a daemon set. The first deployment is called MIC for Managed Identity Controller, and the second daemon set is called NMI for Node Managed Identity. So the Managed Identity Controller is the heart of it, or the brain, depends. It's on this deployment that the pod running in it will interact between the API server and Azure AD to distribute the token to the pod which require it. And then we have the Node Managed Identity daemon set, which is in its turn talking directly with the Managed Identity Controller, well, through the API server anyway, and which intercept the requirement of the pod that needs to have access to Azure AD by the means of a binding. Okay, let's focus on the schema now. So the main complex point is that we have 2 different control planes, the one in Azure and the one in Kubernetes, and those 2 control planes need to get to know each other, which is not by design the case, okay, because Kubernetes is Kubernetes and Azure is just hosting Kubernetes. So on the control plane in Azure, we have the user assigned managed identity, because we need to create that beforehand. And in the Kubernetes control plane, we have the 2 first custom resource definition that I mentioned, the Azure identity and then the binding. So the Azure identity, as I mentioned, is corresponding to the user assigned managed identity in Azure. And then by the means of the Azure identity binding, we can associate this identity to a pod just by adding a label AAD pod ID binding. Okay, and then we are able to associate to grant a pod access to other Azure resources by the means of an RBAC assignment on the user assigned identity. Okay, how it's working? This schema is taken from the documentation that I mentioned earlier. So we have a pod which will talk in its own world to the node managed identity, because first the pod is living on a node, and so it will first talk to the node managed identity daemon set, and this node managed identity daemon set will also work with the managed identity controller by an interaction to the Kubernetes API server, which in its turn will be able to associate and distribute the token accordingly. Okay, a more simple schema this one taken from the Azure documentation, display that with an abstraction for all of the NMI and MIC. We have a pod which is requesting a user an access to its identity, and so it's talking not directly but with all the other objects that we mentioned with Azure ID. It gets a token, and then with this token it gets access to the Azure service which it is supposed to access. On the other side, the authorization is granted by Azure ID on the role assignment on the corresponding resource that we want to access. But this is possible obviously only if the managed identity has received the rollback assignment that was needed. Okay, that's quite all for the basics for now. So to make this thing work, we need to have a Kubernetes cluster. A few prerequisites on the Kubernetes cluster. We need to have Azure ID integration, which is kind of obvious because you want to grant access to Azure resource through managed identity. So without Azure ID integration, it would be difficult. It also needs to be rollback enable, and also some other things that we need to know are the object associated to your AKS cluster that need to be granted the correct access. This is kind of explained in the documentation, but not that much. And you have to read it that quite thoroughly or to try that as I did and have some error, and then it might be working. Okay, so let's get in that. I will not show you that yet. I will show you something else. On my environment, which is already provisioned. I will maybe zoom again on that because it might be too little. Okay, so as you can see here, I have a Kubernetes cluster already provisioned. And this Kubernetes cluster, if I go in the property of my Kubernetes cluster, I will see the backend resource group, which contain all the associated resources of my Kubernetes cluster. Okay, you can see here that I have a virtual machine scale set which represent my my node pool. I have only one, and this node pool has an identity. Well, a bunch of identity, as a matter of fact. If we check on the identity, which should be over there, okay, you can see we have no system assigned identity because it would not be practical, but we have more than one user assigned identity, and the one that we care about today is this one, the AKS, well, GL for global and AZ for Azure agent pool. So this is the one that is associated to my agent pool, and which correspond, if we look into the documentation of the API, to the kubelet, and kubelet being, as you probably know, the agent on a Kubernetes node, which talk to the Kubernetes API server, and which is in this case everything that needs to be configured to make your Kubernetes node working. So we have a managed identity for kubelet, and this managed identity will be the one which is able to interact with Azure ID and with your pod. So this managed identity will need some specific authorization, which we need to grant beforehand by any means. We need to let's go back on I need to go on the subscription level maybe. Over there, access control. Okay, so I did that on my role assignment. So as you can see over there, I should have, yes, you can see here I have my managed identity. You can also see another one, which is a user assigned, system assigned identity. I will come back to that a little later. So this identity is manage a few roles, manage identity operator and virtual machine contributor, which are the roles defined in the documentation. You can also see that I have a managed identity, a system managed identity. And if you were attentive, you may have noticed that it was the name of my cluster. So here is my resource group. Here is my Kubernetes cluster. So you cannot see the system assigned identity associated with your Kubernetes cluster in this point. But just so you know, since this is a Kubernetes cluster an AKS cluster Azure ID integrated with the new way, which is called Manage Identity, Manage Azure ID. It is granted by default a system assigned identity for the control plane, which is in its turn will be the identity that you will use to grant access to your Kubernetes cluster. So this identity, I granted it the same identity that I did for my kubelet identity, the manage identity operator, and the virtual machine contributor. Okay, without that, it's not working, and you have some error in your log if you check your log on the system. Let's go back now in this. Okay, I mentioned you that you need to find out how it's configured, or which are the identity that you may need. So either you find this identity because you know where to find that in your portal. You can also get some information by checking that on the documentation. But if you are such as I, reading a lot of the Terraform documentation, you can find in your Terraform documentation for the Azure Kubernetes service that it's referring different identity. So this one here identity that I named myself, the kube control plane SIA for system assigned identity, and another one which is the kubelet UAA for user assigned identity. So I output this identity, but it's interesting to know that by design, the Azure API and then by inheritance the Terraform object in your provider is able to output you the identity that you need, and you will need a few stuff on that, such as the user identity and the object ID from time to time, because, well, not the object identity necessarily, more mainly the client ID. If you are confronted to some error, probably you will get some error stating that the identity with the client ID or the object ID, which is not written here, has trouble to access some stuff, and then you will be able to understand that you have a lack of role definition. Okay, so this is what I showed you just earlier on my portal. This is the same. So you need to assign the role. On my part, since I'm doing everything through Terraform, I did configure that through Terraform, and then it was configured prior to this session. I already provisioned my cluster. With all the authorization, as you could see on my screen. I just managed to use a few configuration which are just airbag assignment, which is quite simple. And then I'm ready to install pod identity. Okay, so that's it for the prerequisite. You need to have a Kubernetes cluster with Azure ID, and you need to find out where are the identity that you may need to interact in case you have some error. Okay, and that's quite whole. Then you can go forward with the installation of pod identity, which can be done either through YAML definition file, which are provided to you by the documentation, or through an Helm chart, which is also provided to you by on the website, which is also quite well documented, which is nice because we do have some Helm chart which are not well documented. And then if you want to do that on a Kubernetes cluster with KubeNet, just so you know, it's not working by default, or at least it was not working starting from the version 1.7 for other reasons that I will not talk about today. But if you need to make it work, you need to add either in the YAML file the specific argument that I wrote down on the screen, or to specify it in your Helm chart configuration. Okay, with that, it will be allowed to, it will force the installation on your Kubernetes cluster with KubeNet. If not, it will not work. Okay, okay. So if you do that as I did now with an Helm chart, you have that somewhere over there. Okay, let me just be okay. Where was I? Okay, over there. So if you want to install that through an Helm chart, you can see that I'm still using Terraform because I kind of like this one. And we will do the installation in live. I'm just using a name release with pod identity, specifying a few parameters, and those few parameters are just the one that I mentioned earlier. If I go into the variable, you can see I have only two parameters. No, sorry. I will zoom again because it might not be enough for you. Okay. Okay, as you can see, I have two parameters, the one that I mentioned, forcing the installation for KubeNet with the set1, and the other one is installing the custom resource definition, which obviously we need to do. If not, we would have to do it separately, or it would not have the definition for the Azure identity, the binding, and the result of the binding. Okay, so we do that. Let's focus and let's go back now on our main. So this is what I will do now. Let's just do that. It will take a few seconds to charge that, and then once the installation is complete, we'll apply and get our installation. Okay, so we have two things to add because I have also another stuff that I want to install, but the main one that we want to care about is the pod identity. So you can see you have a few configurations which are coming by. Let's apply that and just look for the result. In the meantime, while it's applying, to prepare the demonstration, as I mentioned, we'll be using, well, obviously a user assigned identity, which we will then assign to an identity, to a pod, sorry. And I mentioned that we want to use as an example access to a key vault. So I did prepare some code for that. So you can see I have a secret that is provisioned in a Kubernetes in a key vault. Also, I have a few stuff over there, an access policy for my user assigned identity, which is the user assigned identity that I created on my plan, so that I will be able to grant that the correct access. And I also have some files that are provisioned here, so that I feed the file that I will use to create my my user assigned identity in Kubernetes. Now that it's provisioned, before burning some step, let's go back in the portal and have a look on our resources so that I can show you that. So going back to this resource group, I mentioned that I have a few objects. So I did provision a managed identity and also key vault. This key vault has specifically an access policy which grants access to my user assigned identity, just secret permission to get and list, if I'm correct. Yes, just get and list, this is more than enough. And in this key vault, we only have one secret, which is called KVS GLAZ. We need to remember that because we'll check that afterward once we have finished our provisioning. So now that we have provisioned also our Kubernetes subject, if we go on the portal and check in the workload, we should see a few things. Let's select only the default namespace. So you can see now we have a managed identity controller as a deployment. And if I go not in replica set, but in daemon set, and selecting again the default namespace, we have the node managed identity, which means that my installation is successful. I did install everything that I wanted to install. Okay. Okay, so going forward, this one is what I just showed you. Next step would be to check some logs. So we can do that. Let's reduce that and go back on our Windows over there. Oh, so since we just created our cluster, we need to gain access to our cluster. So let's do that. One thing I need to check before that, where am I connected? So my Kubernetes cluster is in this subscription, so I need to be connected on that subscription. If not, I will not be able to get the credential of my cluster. So let's do that. And then account that also. Okay, I just selected my subscription in which I have one Kubernetes cluster. So let's do that and list the existing Kubernetes cluster. Okay, I have one Kubernetes cluster. So now I will get the credential. I need to specify the name of the cluster and the resource group. And then once I get that, it will merge that in my merge config. So now if I'm just doing a kubectl config list context to see which Kubernetes cluster exists. No, it is not list context, it is get context. I make this mistake all the time. You can see that I have a few Kubernetes clusters already existing, and the current one is the one that I want, so I can connect on my Kubernetes cluster, well, interact with it, but let's just start by getting some information and getting node. I'm integrated with the Azure ID, so I need to connect an Azure ID. There. That's me, perfect. It seems to be working. Let's reduce that. And so, okay, I can get my two nodes. Okay, perfect. If I'm just doing now a kubectl get nodes, I do have two nodes. And if I'm doing as I did earlier the pods in my default, so I'm not specifying the namespace because this is the default. I can see the node that I am interested in, and what I wanted to do was check my log. Okay, so to check my log, I will check the log of my deployment for the managed identity controller. So get deployment first, so I can get the name of my deployment. Get, if I'm not to get, it's not working. Okay, I have one deployment, so now let's just get the logs. Let's limit ourselves at 2 minutes. Oh, obviously it will not write it correctly. Okay, I have a few logs, no error there, and I had to remove the 300 seconds because I did not have any more logs. So, okay, everything seems to be working fine. So the next step now is to try to make stuff work. And so obviously we need to create an association with an identity. Okay, let's get back in the portal once more. I have that. Okay, my Kubernetes, my user assigned identity is over there. I have the client ID and the object ID, which need to be fed in the file defining my identity. So let's check that. If I'm looking at my managed identity, I need to reduce that. You can see that I have user assigned identity with the name that is the one of my identity and the corresponding client ID and the corresponding resource ID. Okay, this was provisioned automatically when I provision my cluster by the means of automation. I have a template file for that in Terraform language, which allow me to feed the appropriate value. So now I will create the managed identity. Let's do that. Then I will create the equivalent binding. So as you can see, the definition is quite simple, and that is defined in the Azure AD pod identity documentation. So let's do a kubectl apply again. Okay, now I have two objects in my CRD, which are the one that I need. Okay, then I will create a pod, but this pod I want it to be able to talk to Key Vault. As you may know, in Kubernetes, and unfortunately or fortunately, it depends on how you see things, everything is well, loosely coupled, and by default, I have no means to interact with a key vault without an additional object, which is in this case the secret store using the container storage interface. Okay, so since we are limited in time, whatever, I will take some shortcut. I have done all my installation. And now I can deploy my CSI for secret store. So this set of command that I will use there, and everything will be done automatically through that. I need to press enter. Okay, and then I will also specify another add-on which allows us to have a secret store for key vault. So with that, my Kubernetes cluster is aware of is able to interact with Azure Key Vault now. Okay, we have another moving part. We need to declare a secret store, which will be the same as we did for our managed identity. We need to create the equivalent object of our Key Vault, not in the Azure control plane, but in the Kubernetes control plane. And this is done with this because I already prepared everything. I have the container storage interface for a secret store and the extension for Key Vault. I can now create a secret store, which is a Key Vault, as a matter of fact. So let's do that. Okay. While it's doing its stuff, just look at that. As you can see, this secret store is already working with user-assigned identity, which is the one that I created earlier. And as you can see, if you have some memory with the GUID, you may remember that it was the same. And it's referring to a key vault by its name, AKV GLAZ. And this is indeed my Kubernetes, no, not my Kubernetes, but my key vault, AKV GLAZ. Okay. So there is a correspondence here. Also, just so you know, a little parenthesis here, we can be very granular on what we grant access through the secret store. And you can see on this secret store, I'm only granting access to one secret, which is called KVS for Key Vault Secret GLAZ. Okay, this is the only one that I'm granting access, which means that I could have more than one secret, as long as in this Kubernetes object, I do not specify the other secret. My secret store will only be able to show this one secret. Okay, so now on the last point, let's just verify that I did not forget anything. Okay, everything is just fine. I have one last file, not this one, which is just a pod of a demonstration pod, which will be granted access to the Key Vault by what I showed you earlier, through the mean of this label, AD-pod identity binding, which is again this one, which is mapping to this user-assigned identity. And I already shown you that this identity in the Azure control plane is granting a policy access, an access policy, sorry, to read my secret. Okay, so if I'm just taking this file, copying the path, and then doing kubectl apply. I will let's do a kubectl get pods. It takes some time usually. You can see the container is creating. So just to be sure that everything is working fine, because I may have forgotten some stuff, let's just do a kubectl describe with the name of pod, with the name of my pod. And I need to describe and not describe, which I don't know. Describe. Okay, there are no errors that I can see here. Successfully assigned default engineering secret store. So it means that it was successfully assigned. Okay, everything seems to be working fine. If you are interested in that, let's check again our log. So kubectl logs. No, I need to get the deployment because I forgot the name of my deployment. Get deployment. Okay, and now let's check the log of my deployment. I should see some new stuff because I just made an association a between my pod and an identity. So we should see some stuff in the logs. So can we see something? Initiating a MIC, nothing deployed identity MIC. Can we see some stuff? Not that I can see of. Let's get the logs of the node manage identity. Yeah, one. Okay, we have two, but this is the one that I want to see. And we can see over there that we do have some exception, no error. Can I see something, the thing that I want to see? I'm not seeing what I want to see here, which is strange. Let's just verify that the pod is ready. Get pods. The pod is running, which is fine. Okay, that's more than enough. I did not see anything suspicious in the logs. Okay, so now I will just check that my Kubernetes cluster, that my pod has access to the secret store that it should have access to. So the secret store is just mounted as a kind of a volume on my pod. So if I'm just doing kubectl exec, oh, I'm lazy. I will take the command that I prepared beforehand, which is over there. Okay, and I can see that I have one secret store mounted, which is called KVS GLAZ, which is, if you remember, the name of my key vault. So let's do the second command line that I'm interested in. Cat. And it looks like some kind of secret. Let's be sure of that. Going back to my key vault, I have my secret over there. Okay. And this secret, if I try to see the secret value, let's zoom on that. It seems to be the same. Well, logical. Once I see it, there no way it would be something else, but it's still fine to see it. So as you can see, I've just mounted on my pod a secret store which is referring to this secret without giving him any password. So I'm quite happy. It seems that it did work. Let's go back to my slide. Okay, so that we did already, and we are just here. Okay, perfect. So what did we do? We installed the pod identity solution, software solution on our pod, and we managed to, Kubernetes cluster, sorry, and we managed to use it with a pod so that it could gain access to a secret in a key vault. Okay, you can see that there are some other configuration to do, which brings me now to the conclusion. So pod identity has the value to help us to come around what I mentioned earlier, that even if the container is isolated from the rest of the underlying platform, we are still able to make it interact with the Azure AD IAM repository, and then grant access through Azure AD authorization to other resources. Also, what we can see in Kubernetes, but this is the way Kubernetes is working, you have more than just the pod identity to make usage of pod identity. And in this example, we have to install another extension, which is the container storage interface for secret store, so that we can interact with Azure Key Vault. Okay. That being said, we also have support from Microsoft coming soon, because as long as it is an open source project, there is no support officially from Microsoft. This is just support from the community. But well, the people doing the community are Microsoft people, so this is quite the same. And as you can see, what I wrote just behind that, installing pod identity is easy. as a matter of fact. Making it work is not that easy, and we have some other moving parts to take into consideration. I show you an example with Key Vault. There are other examples. If you use application gateway as an ingress controller, but installing it your way with an M repository or an LChat, sorry, or the manifest, you can leverage Pod Identity to make it work also. This is not the only choice you have because it's already GA, but under the hood, it's using Pod Identity. There are other solutions that use Pod Identity quite a lot, as a matter of fact. And I think on my side that this is the way to go to secure the Kubernetes environment and avoid having secret written in your configuration, and even more rotation of secret, because we don't want to do that. Okay, and I think I'm finished now. So I have one other thing to show you over there, which is just so that you can scan this QR code and get your swag, and then I'm finished for now. So if there is any question, I will be happy to take the question, but that's all for me.
Thank you, David. I cannot see something in the chat. Let's wait a little bit if you want.
Yep. I'll just reduce my screen so I can see the Teams windows. Then I'm good to go.
Very, very nice presentation. Very nice.
Thank you.
Really, really good. And it's quite complex what you have achieved there. So
yay!
Extra problem.
This is the problem with Kubernetes. You want to do something simple, but it's not.
Yes, you need to go through a lot of steps in order to reach to the point.